1234 on TSN 690. Welcome back to GamePoints. I am your host, Matthew Ross. We're here till the top of the hour. TSN Matthew on Twitter.com. A couple of interesting tweets coming in. We were talking earlier about the game of baseball and how you can take your time and chat with people while you're watching it in the stands. Mo, you'll like this one. This is coming in from I3825U. BP Singh says, if you want to talk to your friend at a ball game, then take him to a 5 days test match. You got all the time you need.
You definitely do. Cricket test matches are very long. 9-hour days, 10-hour days, depending who it is. India, you have plenty of time. A lot of people go.
All right. Well, our next guest is no cricket connoisseur, but I could be wrong. He is a member of the Fantasy Sports Network, which, of course, you can find at fantasysportsnetwork.com. Also, check out SportsRageTV.com, and you can follow SportsRage on Twitter. It's Gabriel Morency. How you doing?
I'm doing okay, Matt. I'm doing okay, and I don't want to show you up on your own show, but I actually do follow the cricket world. Not as intently as everything else, but I've actually learned some hard lessons betting on cricket over the years. And Mo is right. Some of these matches go on forever, and I actually had the professor, like in baseball. I don't know if people know this, so I actually know a lot about cricket. So there's rain delays and stuff, right, in baseball, and they'll go to the final score after 5.5 innings, etc. And whoever is leading will win the baseball game.
Right.
Yet in cricket, if there's a rain delay and they don't resume the match, they go to what they call the tablet formula. And they basically project. So imagine in a baseball game, instead of having a final score after 7 innings because it's raining, they go to the system in which they'll say, okay, so Derek Jeter hits 300 and he would have had another at bat. And they actually project what the final score would be. And I learned the hard way. It was a couple of years ago. It was actually when I was on the radio in Montreal. It was probably about 8 years ago. And me and a buddy of mine, we actually had like $2,000 on a cricket match.
I'll get out of here.
Yeah, and because of the time zone differences, these cricket matches are always going on in India or the West Indies or wherever the hell they're going on. So it was like 5 a.m, and we were up like 217 wickets to 4 or something like that. We were killing them. And I remember going to bed thinking, wow, we're going to win this big cricket bet. And I woke up the next day and I saw my account didn't have the money. And I found out what happened, and I was so outraged about this stupid format of this tablet that they use that I actually tracked down the creator of the tablet. He's a professor at Oxford University in England. And I actually had him on my show and basically yelled at him about how this doesn't make sense. And he actually sold me on it. And, for the record, the sportsbook actually gave me my money back. And they told me never bet on cricket again. And, I've listened for the most part. But, I keep my eye on the cricket world.
Wow. That's quite a story, Mo.
Not sure if Gabe knows. I'm sure he does. But cricket is the second most gambled sport in the world behind soccer.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And probably the most hardcore fans. I don't know, Montreal Canadian fans are, they're fanatical. I don't know if they're hardcore. It's like, we talk about Alabama and Auburn's rivalry, but as Mo knows, I mean, the biggest rivalry in sport is probably India and Pakistan in cricket. Like, it's hostile. And, there was an instance a couple of years ago in Pakistan where the club was losing and the fans didn't like the way it was going. And as Mo stated, there's so much money wagered on this stuff. They actually burnt the stadium down to stop the match. Like in England, there'll be fixed soccer matches, and sometimes a gang, so to speak, or a cartel will pay off the city worker, and they'll be able to get to the power grid, and they'll wait till the soccer match is official, and then they'll pull the plug. They'll pull the electricity. There's been a lot of shady stuff that's happened over the times with people trying to fix the games and matches, especially overseas. But in cricket, they don't mess around. They don't like the way things are going. They just burn the stadium down.
Oh, that's pretty hardcore. Speaking of hardcore, March Madness coming at us in a few days. We were just talking.
What do you mean? It already started tonight, man.
Yeah, I guess.
Tonight, not in a couple of
playing
days.
games. Come on.
No. What do you mean playing games? They're games. I think it's dumb we call them the first round. But this year, with such a deep field, you had Xavier and North Carolina State playing tonight. That's no normal play-in game. Tomorrow night we got the Iowa Hawkeyes in Tennessee. This is big-time stuff. I mean, it counts. This is the tournament. It started tonight.
So, bottom line, who do you like in terms? You're a guy who's checked the odds on winning it all. Who are some of the value bets you like right now?
Well, it's a pretty wide open tournament this year. I would tell people, take the top seeds to advance in the brackets. From a betting standpoint, most of these games are going to come down to the buzzer, to the final couple of minutes. They're extremely evenly matched. But for the most part, this thing's wide open, and the teams that are actually the best teams are like 3 and 4 seeds, etc. Florida's good; they're a top seed, but there's no value with them at the top of the board if you're going to bet on them. As far as real dark horses are concerned, I know it's trendy at this time of year. Who the sleepers? And I don't know if there is a real sleeper. Everybody's pretty good in this tournament, as we saw. I mean, SMU, first-ranked team, not to make the tournament since 2004. So everybody's pretty good in this tournament. But UCLA is somewhat of a dark horse that a lot of people are talking about. I think UCLA have the potential to make it to the Final Four. The Michigan Wolverines are another team. Hard to say they're a dark horse, but they're a 2 seed in an extremely tough Midwest bracket. I think Michigan have a legitimate chance of making it back to the national championship game again. Even though they play in a murderer's row in the Midwest, the matchups that Michigan get, they can beat Duke, they can beat Texas, they can beat Arizona State. Then they'll run into Louisville, who I think will knock off Wichita State in the Midwest. I think Michigan and Louisville will have a rematch of the national championship game last year with a spot in the Final Four on the line. Ultimately, my Final Four that I have is Arizona, Michigan, Michigan State, and UCLA. And I'm going with an all-Michigan final, the Michigan Wolverines and the Michigan State Spartans. And if it's not Michigan versus Michigan State, it'll be Michigan State versus the Louisville Cardinal, in my opinion.
Yeah, we just had an expert on who was a Syracuse Orange player back in the early 80s, and we do brackets with him every year, and he has Michigan State over Arizona in the final. So a lot of people liking Tom Izzo.
Yeah, right now Michigan State's kind of a trendy team to be taken. They just won the Big Ten tournament. They've had a lot of injury problems all year. They got a good combination. They can score, they're physical, they rebound, they're well coached. They're really built for this tournament. And this tournament, it's like Lou Holtz used to say when Notre Dame won the national championship. Lou Holtz, he said, "Are we the best team in the country?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "Maybe, maybe not." He goes, "I know that we won every Saturday." And it's a similar situation with this tournament. Are Michigan State the best team in the country? Probably not. Maybe Louisville is. We don't really know. Maybe Wichita State actually is. It's the fact, can you win 6 games? And as I mentioned, this is the most lopsided, horrifically done job with the brackets. These guys are morons. They're idiots. They've got to let somebody else do this beside athletic directors with their own political agendas and motives putting together these brackets. It was horribly done. You have 3 teams from the Final Four last year and 1 bracket in the Midwest. You've got the South with Florida, UCLA, Kansas, and Syracuse at the top. The West is a joke. Creighton's your 3 seed in the West. The West is a cupcake bracket. The East is also a joke. It was really heavily skewed. And the fact is, Michigan State's the 4 seed, but they're actually favored like Virginia is. And trust me, if Virginia plays Michigan State's going to be favored a 4 seed over a 1 seed. So, they did a horrific job this year setting up the brackets. It's unbelievable. Normally they screw up college football with their crap, but they've managed to do it this year with the tournament. So, long story short here, Michigan State have a much easier path to the Final Format than Louisville or Michigan or Duke or a lot of other teams, or Syracuse or Kansas or Florida. It's tailor-made for Michigan State to make it to the Final Four, and it kind of angers me, actually, that they're a 4 seed and they have such a clear path to the finals.
Gabriel Morency joining us here on the program. I know you got a special guest coming up this week on your show.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we got I do a ton of shows from MMA World to now on the Fantasy Sports Network. So we got like 10 guests a week, 2 shows a day. But later in the week, Jonah Carey, I just found out, actually. It was booked by a producer of mine, and Jonah Carey has that book out, with the history of the Montreal Expos. I guess he's in Toronto this week, so Jonah's going to stop by in studio, and I always like a reason to talk about the Montreal Expos.
Yeah, no, he's a good guest. I actually got the book in the mail today. I've seen some excerpts from it. It's pretty thorough. I mean, he was a bestseller with his Rays book, right? So
I always get depressed, though, to be honest. I saw the book today as well. Somebody said, "Hey, do you want to read it a bit before he comes in?" And I was kind of thinking, I kind of know the history of the Expos, and I don't mean that in the sense of I'm never going to read the book, but it's like looking at pictures of an ex-girlfriend or something, like, or I don't want to over-dramatize it, but you read it, there's great memories with this stuff, but at the same point in time, it's still salt in the wound, so to speak. So I find it difficult, wrapping myself up in the nostalgia. I'm still in angry mode, to be honest.
Are you? I know you got all these commitments now. Are you sneaking away to come in for a game?
Yeah, I'd like to come. I'm hoping to come on a Saturday. I was hoping to make a whole weekend of it, but fact is, I'm just so busy right now, and I see that you've done such a great job pushing this thing. The ticket sales are great, so I don't think you think you really need me, but I'd like to be there for that for the '94, the Gary Carter stuff. I don't think I can make the Friday night, but even the '94 players that are in town and the big banquet and all that sounds like a great time. So I never say never, but I hope to make it at least for Saturday.
All right. Well, if you're around on Sunday, we got a rally, so that's going to be fun too. We'll have some of the players there as well.
It sounds good. Like I say, you've done a great job with this. Hopefully, momentum continues after this weekend series. It doesn't stop there, right? The work just begins. But no, it's a great start, and I'm glad to see that there's so much enthusiasm around this.
FantasySportsNetwork.com. Check it out. Gabriel's there, of course, on the Fight Network for MMA Meltdown, and SportsRageTV.com for his picks and other items as well, and SportsRage on Twitter. Thanks so much, man.
Always a pleasure, guys.
All right, there you go. It's Gabriel Morency. Last segment of Game Points coming up. We will talk about those games and that great weekend, which is rapidly approaching us here in Montreal. That's up next here on Game Points.